Okay, welcome back. Hey, time to get to some questions. Let me see. I got a question here. From Linda. She said, "When was your first grow, and did you breed seeds?" And yes, I did. On my very first grow, I bred seeds. But here was my first grow. I scored a bag of Colombian Gold. It was the color of wheat. It was so yellow. And it was about my fourth lid, they called it lid in those days, that I bought. And I was buying a lid for like 10 bucks or 15 bucks. And I bought this one for, I think, 20, which was outrageous. So, but I showed it to a few friends and they said, "Oh man, you got ripped off. This isn't real stuff. That's not real." So I was, what the fuck? So we smoked some of it and it was so freaking strong. I mean, it was strong, very, very strong. I was ripped out of my mind. And so we finished the bag in like 2 weeks. I didn't go through it right away, because it was so strong. So I go looking for the guy I bought it from. It was a Mexican guy, and I didn't even have his name. I kind of knew where he hung out, but that was it. He was gone, and he's gone forever. But I had seeds. I had a lot of seeds. I had like 200 seeds in the bag. So that next summer came along, and I started a spring crop indoors in cups. I remember I had red cups, with dirt, and I don't remember how I mixed the dirt together, if I softened it up with anything. But I ended up with 88 plants that sprouted, and I brought them out behind the garage of a place I was renting with a couple other guys. I was 19 at the time. And there was like a little garden back there. The previous owner had about a 10 by 15. And I planted them all. They were about this big, and the cops got them. The cops came to the house for something else. The guys I were living with were in the construction business, and they were stealing concrete forms. And they were storing the concrete forms in the backyard. We had all these freaking concrete forms. And the cops came, and they got my crop. They took me down, downtown, whatever. And I really wasn't involved in that. But they asked about the plants, and I said, "They're mine." I grabbed myself right away, and they didn't do anything. They just pulled them up, and that was it. They were there for something else. But that was my first crop. I got ripped off by the cops. After that, I tried a few outdoor things, in the forest preserve, which everybody did, and you had to go to a forest preserve where there wasn't really access to it, no parking or anything. It had to be, kind of like a way out forest preserve. I remember growing in Barrington Hills, that's out here in Illinois, and there's some nice spots out there. But anyhow, I did a little there, and then I finally went indoors. I went indoors in probably 79 or 80, maybe 81. I really don't remember. I didn't even know you could grow indoors. I knew there was guys growing with fluorescent lights indoors, and the plants they had were spindly, and they looked like shit. But guys did that, and but that wasn't for me. It just didn't look like much. I had a real job, so I didn't have to make money. So I saw an ad in High Times. It was on the back cover of this big lights, and I really didn't know what it was. And it was a grow light. It was one of the first grow lights that they had for indoor cultivation. And it had an orange hood, and I remember it was $300. It was like $2.99, and back in the early '80s or late '70s, that was big money. So I had a friend of mine that I played golf with. He actually he was a cocaine guy. He didn't even get high. And at the time I wasn't doing any cocaine at all. It's kind of a jock. I asked him for a loan. I asked him if he could loan me the money, for the light, and he kind of, okay, he did. He did. I mean, he's a great guy. He's passed away, since then. His name was Ron. And he gave me the money, and I grew a crop indoors. Now, it wasn't my Colombian gold. About 6 months before that, I was selling pot. Everybody sold pot in those days. You get a half a pound or a quarter pound or whatever. And I was getting some Mexican dirt ditch weed. It was all brown, and I forget, it was like 25 for a lid, an ounce. And I was getting it from a guy, and this and that. Well, he came to my house one day, and he didn't know a whole lot about pot. And he gives me 4 quarter pounds sealed in sealing meal, and it was real green. And I knew what it was right away. It was Hawaiian, because in those days Hawaiian was going around, but it was like 300 an ounce. I mean, here you're paying between 25 and 40 for an ounce, and everybody knew Hawaiian was 300 an ounce. But anyhow, he dropped off these 4 quarter pounds to me, which equals a pound. And he said I owed him like $400 or something like that. Well, I knew what he had, and I knew the mistake he made, so I cut open each bag and went through all the buds, and I got seeds. I got about 70 or 80 seeds out of it. Maybe not even that many, but I got seeds out of it. So about an hour and a half, 2 hours later, he calls me. He says, "Hey, I gave you the wrong stuff. I got to come back. I got to get it from you." I said, yeah, okay, yeah, come on back. So he comes back. He looks at the open bags and throws a fucking pissy fit. "You son of a bitch, what the fuck you doing? Open up the bag." I said, "Well, I wanted to get the seeds." "Well, what do you want to get the seeds for? This is high price stuff. This is Hawaiian, this and that." I said, "Don't worry, I'll sell it." "Oh, you can sell high price pot?" "Well, fuck, of course. Who can't sell high price pot? As long as it's good." So he left it with me, and I had money for him within a week and a half. I forgot what he charged me for the Hawaiian, but it was no problem. I moved it, no problem. Now I had the seeds. And my first indoor crop, that's what it was. It was Hawaiian. I didn't even use the Colombian. I didn't even breed them together. That was kind of down the line. So I grew out about 40 plants. I think I got 22 or 23 females. I kept a couple males, to breed, even though I really didn't know what I was doing. But, I mean, fuck, how hard is it to breed? And the smoke was fantastic. I mean, it was fantastic. And, with your first grow, you tell a few people, which I shouldn't have done that in those days. But I did, I had friends, and, I had some guys, you can't grow inside, you can't grow indoors, and you're not going to get much for it. Well, I ended up getting 500 an ounce. That's what I sold it for, $20 a gram. If you take, that's $5.60 an ounce. If you take a whole ounce, it was 500. But you had to take 10 grams from me or more, or I wasn't even going to talk to you. And it was killer weed. It was absolute killer. And in those days, I was the only one that I knew that grew indoors. I mean, I had heard after that, a few years down the line, a couple guys were doing it here in Illinois. But in my area, in the Schaumburg area, Schomburg, Roselle, Hoffman Estates, you know, in there. I was the only one I knew that was growing indoor pot. And I got my price. I got whatever I wanted for it, and people loved it. But that's how I began. That's how I began, Linda, and that's how I got hooked. I got hooked on the 500 an ounce. I mean, shit, I was a janitor at Woodfield. You know, I was actually making pretty good money there, you know, because I stopped being a janitor, you know, for Service Master, and I had my own accounts. I was doing stores there, and I remember when I was in high school, I was making more than the school teachers. So I was doing all right. But that's how I began. That was my first grow, and I'm going to take a break, a thinking break, and I'm going to come back and tell you about how I started to breed, how I bought Skunk One seeds, and, you know, and I was on my way.